Good evening. This is your host Onana Afulo live on Sugapepper, streaming on your bundles. Thank you so much for that sacrifice. Today we are at the office of the Director of Public Prosecution. I am here with our guest. She is going to tell us more on what she does. Remember, this is our 5th episode of our 5-part series, though I told you last week that we are going to loop in 2 more people that are going to help us in this series. Let's see what we are going to cover today. If you have a question, just post the questions on our comment sections and we'll give them to our guests. Thank you and welcome to the show. Karibu to the show.
Thank you.
Please just introduce yourself to our viewers.
My name is Ngari. I am a prosecution counsel with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And I am in Busia County. I'm part of the team that is in Busia.
Okay.
I deputize Mr. Andrew Mutelema. And I have been assigned the task of dealing with the SGBV matters together with my colleague, Madam Busiene, but she's in court as we speak.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So who is Catherine?
Catherine is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Okay.
Catherine is a mother of one beautiful girl.
Okay.
I'm actually like any other woman. You can think of Catherine in a family setting, Catherine as a professional.
Okay.
Yes. So I wear both hats, as a prosecutor and as a mother.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you mind to tell us like which schools you went to and where you got the passion to actually be an advocate? Did you know that you wanted to be an advocate from such a young age, or it clicked in your mind when you were mature enough to know like this is the way I want to go?
Actually, if I speak from what I can remember, I never saw myself as an advocate or as a lawyer.
Okay.
That came from my father.
Okay.
I believe he used to say he wants a lawyer to come from the family. Yes. And so it emerged that I was picked to be the one to pursue law.
Okay.
Yes, from primary school, I went to primary school in Mbere, that is in Embu County.
Okay.
Then thereafter, I went to Limuru Girls High School, where I did my Form 4. After Limuru Girls, I was called to do a different course. But my father thought, no, we are still seeing a lawyer in you. So I studied my law with the University of South Africa, graduated. And as is required, I went to the Kenya School of Law.
Yes.
Graduated. Became an advocate. Did private practice for a while.
Okay.
And then I joined insurance. So I've done insurance, I've done private. After the insurance, let's say about 3 years, I decided now let me try the public sector. Okay. So I joined the judiciary first as a legal researcher. So my work basically was to research for the judges. Thereafter, having knowledge of what is required now from the litigation point of view, because now you're on the other side, I decided now I think I have passion enough to join the prosecution to present the evidence as I saw should be presented in court, so that people can get justice, both sides of the board.
Okay.
Yes.
You said that your dad picked you to be, like they saw the lawyer in you.
Yes.
What about your other siblings? What was in you that was not apparently in your siblings that made you the right candidate to be the lawyer of the family?
I believe I am more observant, more keen on detail.
Okay.
Not so outgoing, you can say, but I am, let's say, I'm a bit, they used to call me strict.
Strict?
Yes.
They always say all lawyers are equal.
And I would create a fuss if someone sat on my bed and I have made it. So I liked things done As in, if they are like that, I needed order. I
Some
wanted
OCD
order.
type of thingy, but OCD is extreme, right?
Yes, OCD is extreme.
Yes.
Yes.
So you say you are observant and keen, and I think it's such a good quality for lawyers, because if you don't possess those qualities, you may otherwise just miss out a key element that will actually nail people in jail. Why prosecution and not defense? Because when you were a legal researcher, you said you used to research for judges.
Yes.
So why would you want to prosecute and not defend?
I think I learned on how evidence ought to be presented to the court.
Okay.
Something slight tilts the scale in favor of someone who you can actually see that injustice has occurred, an acquittal has occurred because of a slight tip, which can be addressed with the prosecution. So that is why I decided now to jump ship and go through the challenges, go through the motions, as we seek justice for some of these victims who cannot even talk for themselves most of the time.
Okay. So for purposes of maybe a viewer that is joining us today for the first time, explain to them what SGBV is and what you actually do. What is now your mandate as a prosecutor?
SGBV stands for sexual gender-based violence. We classify them.
Yes.
And when we classify them, we do not just say they are against women. We know there are instances that an offense is committed against a male, whether he's a minor or an older person. You've heard of instances in the media.
Yes.
So these are violence offenses that are directed to you in your position, whether you're a wife, you're a girl, you're a boy in school, by a person who feels that they have authority over you. Yes. So as part of our mandate as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is to prosecute these matters with the keenness and the sensitivity that is required, because we know these cases particularly affect they cause trauma. Let us just say they cause trauma to the victims. And most of the offenses are usually between the victim and the perpetrator. It is a one-on-one basis. So most of the time you will get that you do not have eyewitnesses for some of these cases. And that is why the office has also created a separate division to cater for these cases and assigned prosecutors in regions so that these matters can be given the attention that they deserve.
And also urgency, right?
Yes. So as an office, as I have said, together with my colleague, we have been assigned the duty of looking at the SGBV cases. She does most of the SGBV cases, and I handle most of the children's matters. That is the defilement part of it.
The part of it.
Yes.
You've talked about keenness and sensitivity. So what do you look at? What are you keen on? What are you sensitive about in let's say a defilement case or a sodomy case?
Okay, well, having a background of law, do you actually look at, you're presented by a file before you.
Yes.
You look at the statement that is there. The statement is what tells you as a prosecutor what actually happened then. So you try and picture out what happens. So you have to confirm whether the statement collaborates the medical evidence that is there together with the evidence that has been collected in conclusion by the investigating officer. And some of the issues that we actually look at is the P3 form, We have the post-rape care form that is gotten from the hospital. We have the treatment notes. At times we have a discharge summary. And if it is for a minor, we always have to look at the birth certificates or the notification of birth or something to show that this child is under the age of minority.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. These are like the key things.
Those are most of the key things that we look at, because this is the evidence that we are going to present in court to support the evidence of that particular one witness. This is the collaborative evidence that we need to ensure that is adequate enough for the matter to reach conclusion and actually sustain a conviction even when it goes on appeal.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what would make the account of the victim or the survivor be disregarded in court?
Fear at times, interference. You might notice that the victim has been intimidated. Actually, they can even be intimidated on that day of the hearing. So there are instances where you request for the court to have the matter in camera.
Okay.
There are instances you also request that the perpetrator is put like a distance,
face away,
face away from the victim, so that the victim can be able to express herself. But we also have situations whereby the victim just breaks down. Those are the circumstances now as a prosecutor you need to take a look at and maybe apply to the court for the victim to testify through someone else, as long as some of the key elements of presentation of that evidence has been laid out by the witness. Though we have had instances where the Court of Appeal has said that it is not necessary to have this victim relay that trauma again and again. They can be excused as long as evidence is there and you as a prosecutor, you are sure enough that you will be able to reach a conviction, yes, and have justice.
Okay, I'm imagining, let's say I'm the victim, I've been raped. So I'm giving assuming I am underage, now we are talking about defilement because defilement is for people under the age of 18. So I am a victim, I come to my mother, I give an account. Then I go to the police station. I again have to give an account so that they give me the P3 form and the PRC. While I'm being investigated by the clinician at the hospital, she will still pose the same questions. Akafanya nini? That one is still also an account. Then I have to again give an account in court.
Yes.
So at what point are you advocating for this camera session?
If it is
how many times is at least the basic, like the basic account of times that a victim can give an attestation of what
for
transpired?
All defilement matters, that is, we are dealing with a child victim under the age of 18 years.
Yes.
We always apply to court for the matter to be heard in camera. Meaning that the court will have to. We know there are challenges in the courtroom. The court will have to be cleared so that you remain with as few people as possible. That is the accused, the judicial officer, the clerk. If the accused has a representative, an orderly, and now the victim. Yes, for the shortest time possible. Because we also consider that this person has been traumatized and now relieving the trauma yet again in front of strangers is also adding trauma to them. Yes.
Okay. There is this controversy about trusting the account of kids, because in our episode with the Chief Magistrate, Honorable Lambasi, I asked her if she could tell if a child had been coached to give an account of the defilement. So as a prosecutor, are you also able to tell if a child has been coached on what to say, and in a particular way, like you just get like this story is not
Yes.
true in its
Yes, and that is
entirety.
why we endeavor as an office to have a pre-trial with the victims.
Yes.
Not to relive the whole episode, but to just have a one-on-one where you actually there with the victim, you as a prosecutor, without interference from the parents, from the aunties or whoever, so that you
Yes.
can be able to talk. So that in the event that now when the matter is set up for hearing, you can be able to know whether the account is the same as what you had when you had this witness.
Yes.
Because there are also the office has created forms that we fill when you're conducting the pre-trial conferences.
Okay.
There are key indicators that you need to note as a prosecutor, so that you can guard yourself from having to now push the witness who has decided now something has happened to the edge, and now making him or her an accused person,
Yes.
declaring them hostile.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, and in this pre-trial, what's the maximum number of people that can attend the pre-trial?
The pre-trial is actually the prosecutor, the police officer, and now the witness.
The witness.
Yes.
And the form is in which language? English, Swahili?
There's a standard form in English,
Okay.
but now, even evidence in court, it's either English or Kiswahili. So
Kiswahili, yes.
you pick one, and the
Okay.
court notes.
Okay.
Yes. So it is up to you when you're feeling to actually get the information as close as to the language that the person you are interviewing, the witness now.
Is there a provision for a translator to be part of the pre-trial?
Actually, I have not encountered one. The translators are usually in court, but I've never encountered an SOA matter, an SGBV matter where we needed a translator.
A translator.
Yes,
yeah.
for other matters, yes, they are always court-appointed translators. Yes.
Do you think there is need to also have provision for a translator at the pre-trial stage? Because sometimes people say that you get acquainted to someone in a language best known to them, and most of the time it's the mother tongue.
I think the times have changed a bit.
Yes.
There might be need, because we are talking about SGBV, and SGBV is across the board, from a young child to an old person, 80 years and above. We've had instances, so there might be need, but I do not think there are as many as is required for an interpreter.
Okay.
Yes.
Please explain to us what tampered evidence is. In defilement, in rape, in sodomy.
For me to understanding what tampered is you have interfered with the evidence.
Okay.
We know the SGBV cases, and especially defilement and sodomy, it is against the person.
Okay.
It is against you, your body, your parts. So once you have taken a shower, as a woman, you've taken a shower, you have interfered with, you have actually tampered with the evidence. That applies to both sodomy cases and for the woman.
Yes.
Because when you go to hospital, if it is an actual sexual assault, I will categorize them as sexual assault. The examination takes place in that part of the body, your private parts, so that the doctor can confirm whether there is evidence of the offense and whether there is something that was left behind by the perpetrator. So the moment you take a shower, that clearly waters down the evidence. And it might also, because at times there happens to be some bruises, you will wash away the blood. And that is part of the evidence that the clinician is supposed to capture when they are filling in the post-rape care form, the P3 and the treatment notes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a survivor of a rape case or even just defilement, and at the instant that the molestation occurs, they are not courageous enough to come and speak out. But others gather themselves and get the courage to now go and report maybe in 2 weeks' time. And you see they've already bathed, they've already tampered with everything. So how does this person win?
The type of sexual offenses we are talking about, they are sensitive and unique in their nature.
Yes.
Because as a human being, I see no reason for you to say that someone has raped me, someone has defiled me, someone has sodomized me.
Yes.
That is something that remains with you as a person. And I do not believe that even if the medical examination is done, the court will not be able to believe you as a person, because investigations will have been carried out, and there is always a trace. There is always a trail. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even after 2 weeks.
Even after 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
Even like you're basically saying even after 2 weeks, I can walk to a police station.
You can
still
actually
get
go and report. Yes.
get the forms and go to the clinic and
Yes.
speak to the clinician.
Yes.
But it would actually.
It would mean there has to be thorough investigations to be
very
conducted.
thorough. Yes. Okay. So that is about the evidence. So you work close to close with which particular department, or who are the people that you work close to?
The police.
The police.
Yes.
Okay.
The police, we have to work hand in hand with them.
Okay.
Because from the moment that a report is done, they're the ones who collect the evidence, and now they bring the file to us. There are guidelines that have been set by the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yes.
That give us directives on how matters are to be admitted and how they are supposed to be prosecuted.
Okay.
Yes, they are called prosecution guidelines. So there is a minimum threshold for a matter that needs to be met before it can be admitted in court, even for the person to take plea, to answer to the charges that are being alleged that he committed.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you care to give us like some of those regulations?
Actually, you need to, when you get a file, you need to establish whether there is at least evidence. There is a public interest route, and now there is this threshold. There should be some evidence to you as a prosecutor that when you present this file to court, you can be able to get a conviction. There should be that minimum. And there are documents that you need to look at. That is what I was talking about, the birth certificate, the treatment notes, the P3, the post-rape care form, together with the evidence of the complainant.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. When you talk about treatment notes, it means you go and pluck out from the doctor, or it's an account of the doctor in court?
No, actually, when you visit a medical center,
yes,
you get a book that is indicated your name.
Yes.
And that is the book that is going to be written in by the clinician or the doctor or the nurse.
Yes.
That is what we always refer to as the treatment notes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, on the day they received this patient or victim,
they give you an account. Because now the P3 is just a summary of what will be contained in the treatment notes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the discharge form?
The discharge form comes when someone has been hospitalized. Most of the time you will not get a discharge form. You will not get the treatment notes, sorry, you will get the discharge summary. Okay. So that will contain the date of admission, the medication given, and now what the doctor noted as as the injury, together with their notes. We usually call them so that they can come and produce them in court and give an in-depth, because they are more trained in that area. Yes.
Okay. So as a prosecutor, I would just like to hear from you. Is there a particular case that you handle that, or you came across that really impacted you, like touched you, that gives you the strength to continue as a prosecutor for SGBV cases, or like it cannot just go out of you?
Well, as I said beforehand, I am a mother to a 3-year-old girl. So I look at my daughter and I look at the victims that I deal with as human beings, as a daughter. You can imagine now you looking at your daughter every single day at the end of the day, and knowing that someone's child was defiled and justice has not happened. So that gives me hope, because we cannot say that we will stop prosecuting these matters. We need to offer a safe haven for our children.
Yes, indeed.
And that safe haven starts with one person. If it is me as a prosecutor, well and good.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is no particular case that just stuck to you and has refused to, you know, go out of your memory, like whenever you sleep, you just think about that one particular.
Well, we are told to go for debriefing.
Okay.
Though I cannot talk on the matters that I've dealt with. There are some that are usually very personal to you. But you learn. Every single day is a learning process. Every single day, if you a believer like me, you always ask God to give you strength for tomorrow. Yes.
Okay. When now you have taken the file, you have presented the case, and it's now time for sentencing. Like now, when the judge is now like giving the final judgment and wants to give a sentence, have you ever like had a particular case where you felt like, hey, venye nilikuwa na hii evidence yote and this person just gives 15 and it's even supposed to be 25? Have you had that kind of, like an emotional connection to a particular case? And you felt like, hey, this one I must appeal.
There are instances where you feel like you want to appeal on the sentence. And for SGBV cases under the Sexual Offences Act, there are usually mandatory sentences depending on the age of the victim. Though there is the interpretation of there's a decision that the judicial officers rely on their discretion. There are times when you feel like you want to apply for an enhancement of sentence, but that you have to also consult further whether it is adequate enough or not. But if you feel that the evidence was well in and you sustained a conviction, we always ensure that you apply for an enhancement of sentence. Yes, so that even the victim, they will feel like, yes, now I can be able to move in the villages. Yes, because actually the trauma comes to them back at home. Yes, because they fear that this person, I will be walking next to this person. I will be passing my homestead, going to school, na najua huyu mtu anaishi hapo. So at least that period of incarceration, the victim will feel like, in as much as it cannot take away, you will feel like you have justice has been done. Yes.
Okay. Kangaroo courts remains the biggest challenge to SGBV cases. What are your sentiments about these procedures, and what would you advise the community or any collaborator that is listening to this show?
We discourage kangaroo courts. We term them as interference with the judicial process, which is an offense. Lately we had a session with the chiefs so that we can tell them the strides that the ODPP is looking at, which offenses should come to court, and what they should actually do in the ground, not to allow some of these kangaroo courts to take effect. Because at the end of the day, the same kangaroo courts that are taking place huko mashinani, they're the same perpetrators tomorrow who will do the same offense, and now which might even be graver, and even maybe even to some of the children, to the local leaders that are there in the ground.
Okay. Have you had instances whereby a parent just started off well and then they withdrew the case because of still the kangaroo courts? What's a way forward for let's say somebody that has vested interest in particular cases?
I have encountered situation where the parents come and say that the girl has, we live in a border town, and going across the border is just a walk in the park.
Yes.
We have had instances where we have had to sternly warn the parents that you have to bring your child because that is interference. We have had instances where the parents have hidden those children. They say at Yamenda Shule Mombasa cannot attend court. So we have made efforts. We have prosecuted some of the parents for interference, because at the end of the day, what justice have you given to your child? None whatsoever. Yes.
Okay. For the sake of viewers still, what's the the sentence for parents or even custodians that do this kind of injustice while still the proceedings are ongoing?
I would have to check, but I know there is an offense for obstruction of justice.
Yes,
I did one. The sentence passed was 5 years.
5.
Grandmother.
Okay.
Yes. We also have...
are you able to give us details of...
I do not know whether it went on appeal.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But the grandmother was interfering with the grandchild coming to testify to court.
Okay.
Yes, going to an extent of hiding that child.
Okay.
So when
a girl, boy?
A boy. So
boy.
the child, when the child was found,
okay,
the child actually confessed that I was told to go to the market on that day, yet he was supposed to go to school. Yes, because we had to literally look for that boy from school, from the playgrounds, from the neighbors. That boy was not anywhere to be found on the day of giving evidence.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And it was that same day that
yes,
you had to literally leave court.
Not even to literally. We had to get support from the police to now go to the village to look for this particular boy.
Manually?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd get statements from the headmaster, from the chief, from the neighbors that they have not seen this boy anywhere.
Okay.
And the grandmother said that the boy went to school. So now you're trying to derail us from where the boy is, yet you actually know that you sent the boy to the market on that day.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope this boy got justice, or his case is also ongoing.
They both got justice. I do not know whether they went on appeal with the perpetrator.
Okay.
Yes.
There was something you were talking about, then I interrupted you. I've even just forgotten. You were saying something, then I interrupted you. We were talking about still parental withdrawal of cases from courts.
Well,
and the sentencing. I think you're talking about the sentencing.
Sentencing, at times you know, as a prosecutor, you're also a human being. At times you feel like it is not adequate enough. So when you're actually doing a briefing to your supervisor, we always do a note to him so that he as an impartial person, having not gone through the trial and having looked at the evidence, he can be able to give you now, go ahead, that this file, just apply for enhancement. You know, at times you are so glued into attaining that conviction and getting the maximum sentence that you might not see the other side of the coin. Yes, so we are always advised to have someone else above you just to look at what evidence you tendered, and to have, you might hear something like ulijileta, You get. Those are some of the things that might throw your witnesses off guard.
Okay.
If you have not had a pre-trial with the evidence, you have to cover all grounds. Yes.
Okay.
That this was actually not consensual. This was against my will.
Okay.
I was intimidated, I was threatened, I was held by force.
Okay.
Yes.
And misinterpretation?
Misinterpretation,
misrepresentation?
Yes,
sorry.
that like for a defilement matter, you know, there are young girls that you will look at 17, 16, and they're actually much more bigger than
bodied,
me.
yes.
So at times they might use to say that this girl.
Defilement.
Yes.
Okay. But we were with Ashoya, Kevin. Hi, Kevin, in our previous interview, and he said the basic common sense for that is for you to just ask for a national ID.
Exactly.
So I think this is not even whatever.
But most of them will say they don't have, like Limuitisha too. But how many people carry
card?
Carry
no, but
ID.
they need, like, come with your ID. I think the men just need to insist. Come on, ID, mimi staki any parts of you. You know, not even texting, nothing. I'm even deleting your number.
And actually, you can actually look. The body might be bigger than actually me,
but
you can actually, when you even talk to a person, you can be able to gauge how old they are.
This person is.
Yes.
Okay. We were having a workshop one time, a CSO's workshop, and somebody asked that I meet with a man, we go to a hotel, we eat, we drink, we wine and dine, then we go to a room. Because me, I know, like, we're just going to beat stories and, you know, I go my way. And then this person locks the room and, you know, undress, and then maybe we want to have sex. Then I'm like, no, where is a condom? You don't have a condom, then I'm not going to have sex. So, and then he tries to force himself on me. That is rape.
That is plain rape.
That is plain rape.
Yes.
But now the issue was weed from the time we started dining and wining to us walking into the room to us undressing. So you see, from the point of asking for the condom, that's when the issue started. And I was telling these people, I can withdraw consent even
those events should not be a legitimate expectation that that person wanted to sleep with you. If they have
please just repeat for the second, because you see, this is actually what happens. This is actually what is happening, and you know, it takes the might of Samson to explain this concept to people that is plain rape.
Yes.
Yes.
If I have
consent
said no
can be
because
withdrawn
you do not
at
have a condom, the fact that there were some preceding events, that should not be a legitimate expectation that I should actually sleep with you. When I have said no, I have said
no.
Yes.
Even during penetration, you can withdraw at what point and it becomes rape. That is usually also the controversy.
Well, that now is quite hard. But I think even before you get to the penetration part, the victim, whether female or male, you always know what you want.
Yes.
Whether you're going to it willingly or not.
Or
yes.
not. Okay.
Yes.
So that is it. Degree of consent, and you said misrepresentation. And what other thing is the defense for rape that most people peddle?
Trumped up charges.
Trumped up charges.
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
That you actually wanted me, so because I did not want you, you decided to pin this offense on me.
Okay.
Yes. That the offense is not true. The act did not occur. It is because I refused your advances. And that is why I'm saying you decided to go now and say that you are raped or you are defiled.
How is that argued in court, accepted, admitted as, you know, an account in favor of now the respondent?
That is just one line of defense they use.
Okay.
Yes. And you know, for this, I've told you, for the SGBV matters, it is the evidence of the victim. Actually, the court is supposed to warn itself that a conviction is based on the evidence of an actual account. You're the only eyewitness. There's no one else who was there. It is you now and the perpetrator on the other side. Yes. So the court warns itself.
Okay. Okay. As we wind up the show, Catherine, in your mandate as a collaborator in the fight against sexual and gender-based violence, what is that one message that you want to put out there to people that are watching us today, here and now? What is that one message you want to give out to the community?
Don't be afraid to report.
Please just look at the camera and give.
My advice to the viewers is don't be afraid to report. Don't be afraid to report to the police. There is a gender-based desk. Also the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Our doors are always opened. Once you come in confidence to us, we can be able even to now protect you further. Okay. There are other agencies like the Witness Protection, and for the children who cannot also stay at home, there are other institutions that get placements for them. Okay. Yes, don't be afraid. Okay. And if you feel that you complaining or you testifying will bring you at risk, once the perpetrator has taken plea, we always take that into consideration to have these matters fast-tracked. Okay. Yes, because the longer they take, the harder it is for these witnesses to come. Yes, some of them even get tired and they say, nimeshinda nikikuja.
Kesi haiishi.
Kesi haiishi.
Yeah. Okay. Just like the EACC, the EACC has a website where people can post anonymously on corruption and bribery allegations, also whistleblowers. Is there a plan for SGBV cases? Because sometimes you get people are sexually harassed in workplaces, and for fear of just being fearful, because now this is your work environment, you want to report, but you also want to secure. Because this is your source of livelihood. What is the go ahead for this kind of a person? Actually,
the person can just write to the DPP.
Okay.
We have a website.
Anonymously.
Yes,
okay.
Anonymously.
Okay.
We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook.
Okay.
We have a website, an email address.
Okay.
So when you go to the ODPP website, you will get the information that you require. Whichever region you're in, it will be decentralized now up to the place that you are alleging your offense occurred, up to that county office that can be able to deal with your matter or address the issue.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, for purposes also now of proceedings, let's say I used to work in Kakamega and I know maybe of a boss that sexually harasses his employees. What do I do? How do I get help? How do I help my former colleagues?
That situation might be tricky, and that is why I'm saying a report has to be made so that an investigation actually takes place.
Okay.
Because what we are looking at, that employer might say I fired you and that is why you're coming back.
Yes.
Yes, so that is why I'm saying we need to give time for the investigation process to take its toll, so that the prosecutor in that whichever station, whichever county office can be able to look at the evidence vis-a-vis the offense that is to be instituted against the perpetrator. Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That was an awesome presentation from you.
Thank you.
Viewers, I hope you are masking on. I hope you're maintaining a good social distance. I hope you're also sanitizing. Corona is still here with us. keep safe. We are going to be live on Saturday, the 6th, at the Women's Prison in Busia as we celebrate International Women's Day. Though the day is celebrated on Monday, catch us live then. And from us, it's good evening and goodbye. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.